We often call events accidents when they don't fit our plans. Yet if you look closely, life is not random. It moves with an intelligence that does not ask for our permission. What appears as chance may simply be a pattern too vast for the thinking mind to trace. Perhaps nothing happens to you, everything happens through you. The universe is not random. We are taught from an early age to believe that life is a series of accidents. Things happen, we react, and then we move on, calling it chance when we cannot explain the connection. Yet when you pause and look deeply, the universe does not behave like a chaotic accident. It behaves like a rhythm, a pattern unfolding in time. Randomness is often a label for our limited vision. When we cannot trace the causes of an event, we assume there were none. But this is like looking at a single wave and calling it unpredictable while ignoring the ocean beneath it. Every wave is shaped by tides, wind, gravity, and the movement of the whole sea. In the same way, every moment of your life is shaped by countless influences working together. Alan Watts often reminded us that the universe is not a collection of separate things, but a single process expressing itself in many forms. Stars are not randomly scattered, they follow laws. Seasons do not appear by accident, they emerge from balance. Even your own body operates with extraordinary precision without your conscious effort. To call such a universe random is to overlook its deep intelligence. When something unexpected happens in your life, the mind immediately asks, "Why did this happen to me?" Hidden in that question is the assumption that events are arbitrary. But what if the question itself is mistaken? What if nothing ever happens to you, but instead happens as part of the same process you belong to? This does not mean that everything is predictable or comfortable. Order does not guarantee ease. Storms follow patterns too. Pain, loss, and confusion arise within the same lawful movement as joy and growth. The universe is not designed for personal comfort. It is designed for expression. Understanding that life is not random changes how you respond to uncertainty. Instead of panicking when things do not go according to plan, you begin to listen. You ask, "What is this moment part of?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" This shift alone brings a sense of calm. Seeing order in life does not mean you can control it. It means you can cooperate with it. Like a dancer moving with the music rather than fighting it, you learn to feel the rhythm beneath events. When you realize the universe is not random, trust naturally arises. Not because you understand everything, but because you sense you are not living in chaos. You are living inside a vast, intelligent movement that includes you. Have you ever experienced a moment that seemed random at first, but later revealed a deeper meaning? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else see the pattern they're missing. Cause and effect are deeper than we see. When something unexpected happens, the mind rushes to find a single cause. It wants a clear reason, a simple explanation, something to point at and say, "That's why." But life is rarely that neat. Most events are not the result of one cause, but of many causes meeting quietly over time, long before we notice their effects. We live at the surface of an immense web of relationships. Every choice you make is influenced by countless factors: your upbringing, culture, biology, memories, moods, and even events that happened before you were born. When a moment finally appears in your life, it carries all of this history within it. To call it an accident is to ignore the depth from which it arose. Alan Watts often spoke about the universe as a system of mutual influence. Nothing stands alone. A tree grows because of soil, sunlight, water, and time. Remove one element, and the tree cannot exist. In the same way, an event in your life is never isolated. It is the visible tip of an invisible mountain of causes. The difficulty is that the mind prefers simplicity. It wants to blame or praise one thing, one person, one decision, one mistake. But reality is far more subtle. Life unfolds through complexity, not linear chains. Effects loop back into causes, and causes transform through effects. This is why life often feels unpredictable, even though it is deeply ordered. Understanding this can soften self-blame. When something goes wrong, we tend to say, "If only I had done this differently." While reflection is valuable, harsh judgment assumes that one decision alone created the outcome. In truth, no single moment carries that much power. You were participating in a much larger movement. This insight also reduces resentment toward others. When someone hurts us, it is tempting to see them as the sole cause of our pain. But their actions, too, emerged from countless influences. This does not excuse harm, but it brings understanding, and understanding dissolves bitterness. Seeing the depth of cause and effect invites patience. You stop demanding immediate meaning from events. You recognize that what is happening now may be connected to things you cannot yet see. Some causes only reveal their significance much later, when the pattern has had time to unfold. When you accept that cause and effect are deeper than you see, life becomes less personal and more intelligible. You stop fighting reality and begin to observe it. You move from reaction to awareness. Have you ever looked back and realized that an event you once blamed or feared had deeper roots and meaning? Share your reflection in the comments. Your insight might help someone see beyond the surface of their own experience. You are part of the pattern. We often imagine ourselves as observers standing outside of life, watching events happen to us. Something occurs and we say, "Why did this happen to me?" As if we were separate from the movement that produced it. But this way of thinking creates a false distance. In reality, you are not outside the pattern. You are woven into it. Watts frequently reminded us that the universe is not made of independent pieces but of relationships. You are not a thing living in a world, you are an event happening within it. Just as a wave is not separate from the ocean, you are not separate from the flow of life. The wave does not enter the sea, it arises from it. When something happens in your life, it is easy to feel singled out, as though the universe has chosen you at random. But this feeling comes from the illusion of separateness. Events do not target you, they include you. Your actions, reactions, fears, and desires are all threads in the same fabric that shapes what unfolds. This does not mean that you consciously choose everything that happens. It means that life and you are participating in each other. The patterns of your thinking influence your choices. Your choices influence your environment. Your environment shapes future possibilities. At no point are you standing outside the process, watching it from a distance. Understanding this changes the way responsibility feels. Instead of guilt or blame, responsibility becomes awareness. You begin to notice how your inner state quietly shapes your outer experience, not through control, but through participation. You are dancing with life, not commanding it. This insight also dissolves the idea that you are powerless. Many people swing between two extremes, either believing they control everything or believing they control nothing. Both views are incomplete. You are neither the sole author nor a helpless victim. You are a collaborator in a vast unfolding. When you see yourself as part of the pattern, resistance softens. You stop arguing with reality as if it were an enemy. Even difficult moments become signals, showing you how the pattern is shifting. Pain is no longer punishment, it is information. This does not remove uncertainty, it deepens trust. You begin to sense that life is not working against you or for you, but through you. And that realization brings a quiet confidence, not based on certainty, but on belonging. Have you ever experienced a moment where you realized you were part of something larger than your personal story? Share your experience in the comments. Your reflection may help others feel less separate and more connected. Chance is a word for unseen order. We often use the word chance as a way of closing the conversation. When something happens that surprises us, an unexpected meeting, a sudden loss, a strange turn of events, we say it was just chance. But this word does not explain anything. It simply marks the edge of our understanding. Alan Watts pointed out that humans have a habit of confusing mystery with chaos. When we cannot trace the pattern, we assume there is none. Yet the absence of explanation does not mean the absence of order. It only means the order is too subtle, too vast, or too complex for the thinking mind to grasp all at once. Consider nature. The movement of clouds may look random, but it follows precise laws of temperature, pressure, and motion. The growth of a forest may seem unplanned, yet every tree grows in relationship to soil, light, water, and time. What we call randomness is often an intelligence operating beyond our limited perspective. In the same way, life events appear accidental only because we see them in isolation. We focus on the moment something happens, not on the thousands of conditions that made it possible. A single conversation, a delayed train, a brief decision, each carries a long history behind it. When all these threads meet, we call the result coincidence. The mind wants neat explanations. It wants beginnings and endings, clear causes and clear effects. But reality does not unfold in straight lines. It moves in webs, not chains. When events intersect, the pattern is too intricate to follow with logic alone. So we label it chance and move on. Yet there are moments when we sense something deeper. Looking back on life, you may notice that certain accidents quietly redirected you. A missed opportunity led to a better one. A difficult ending created space for growth. At the time, it felt meaningless. Later, it felt strangely precise. This is not fate in a rigid sense, nor is it blind randomness. It is a living order, responsive, dynamic, and creative. Life is improvising, not reading from a fixed script, and you are part of that improvisation. When you stop seeing chance as chaos, trust begins to grow. You no longer demand that life justify itself immediately. You allow events to unfold. Knowing their meaning may reveal itself slowly or not at all. This patience brings peace. To say nothing is by chance is not to claim certai. NTI. It is to remain open to deeper patterns. Have you ever experienced a coincidence that later revealed a hidden meaning or direction in your life? Share your story in the comments. Your insight might help someone see order where they once saw chaos. Control is a mental habit. From the moment we learn to think, we learn to plan. We are taught that a good life is one that can be predicted, organized, and managed. Control becomes a habit of the mind, so familiar that we mistake it for intelligence. Yet life itself quietly shows us again and again that it does not move according to our schedules. Alan Watts often explained that the desire for control comes from fear. The mind wants certainty because uncertainty feels unsafe. So we build strategies, expectations, and identities in an attempt to secure the future. But this effort rests on a misunderstanding, the belief that life is something separate from us that must be handled. When events unfold differently than planned, frustration arises. We feel betrayed by life, as if it broke an agreement it never made. In these moments, the habit of control becomes visible. We see how much energy we spend trying to force reality to match our ideas about how it should be. Control, however, does not create harmony. It creates tension. Just as trying to hold water in a clenched fist causes it to slip away, tightening our grip on life increases anxiety. The more we try to dominate experience, the more rigid and fearful we become. This does not mean action is wrong or planning is useless. It means that control is confused with participation. Life works best when there is cooperation rather than domination. Think of a surfer riding a wave. The surfer does not control the ocean. They learn its movement and respond to it. This is intelligence in motion. When you recognize control as a habit rather than a necessity, something relaxes. Still make choices, but you are no longer attached to outcomes. You act, then allow life to respond. This shift transforms struggle into curiosity. Alan Watts suggested that life is a game that plays itself. When you try to control the game, you miss the playfulness of it. When you participate without clinging, the game becomes enjoyable, even when it is challenging. Letting go of control does not mean becoming passive. It means becoming responsive. You listen more closely, adjust more freely, and trust the larger movement carrying you. This trust is not blind optimism. It is an understanding that life has been unfolding successfully long before your personal plans existed. Seeing control as a habit frees you from self-blame when things go wrong. It allows you to adapt rather than resist. And in that flexibility, life reveals its intelligence. Where in your life do you notice the habit of control creating tension rather than peace? Share your reflection in the comments. Your awareness may help others loosen their grip as well. Resistance creates the feeling of meaninglessness. There are moments in life when events feel empty, unfair, or pointless. We ask, what was the reason for this? And hear only silence. In those moments, it seems as though life has lost its meaning. But what if meaninglessness is not caused by what happens, but by how tightly we resist what is? Alan Watts often suggested that suffering is not created by events themselves, but by our refusal to accept them. When reality does not match our expectations, the mind pushes back. It says, this should not be happening. And in that resistance, the sense of meaning collapses. Resistance divides life into two opposing forces, me and what is. As long as this division exists, experience feels hostile. The mind becomes a battlefield, endlessly arguing with reality. Meaning cannot emerge in such a struggle, because attention is focused on rejection rather than understanding. Notice how quickly the feeling of meaninglessness fades when resistance softens. Even painful experiences, loss, failure, disappointment, begin to reveal insight when they are allowed to be fully felt. Acceptance does not erase pain, but it transforms pain into information. This does not mean approving of everything that happens. Acceptance is not agreement. It is simply the recognition that what is happening is happening. When you stop fighting the fact of the moment, energy is freed. That energy can then be used to respond intelligently rather than react emotionally. Meaning is not something hidden inside events, waiting to be discovered. Meaning arises through relationship. It appears when you engage with life as it is, not as you wish it to be. Resistance blocks this relationship. Acceptance opens it. Alan Watts often used the metaphor of swimming with the current. If you fight the river, exhaustion follows. If you move with it, you discover direction. The river has not changed. You have. And in that shift, meaning emerges naturally. Many people believe that meaning must arrive immediately or it is not real. But life does not work on demand. Some meanings ripen slowly. Some only appear in retrospect. Resistance demands instant explanation. Acceptance allows time to reveal the pattern. When you stop resisting life, even confusion becomes meaningful. Uncertainty becomes part of the journey rather than an error. And life no longer feels empty. It feels alive. Have you noticed how letting go of resistance changed the meaning of a difficult experience in your life? Share your reflection in the comments. Your insight may help someone who is still fighting the moment they're in. Life makes sense in reverse. While life is being lived, it rarely feels clear. We move forward step by step, making decisions, without knowing where they will lead. The mind longs for certainty, yet life offers only direction after the fact. It is only when we look back that the pattern begins to appear. Alan Watts often compared life to listening to music. You do not understand a song by predicting its ending while the first note is playing. You understand it by hearing how each note leads to the next. Meaning is not ahead of you, it is revealed behind you. In the middle of confusion, the mind demands explanation. It asks, why is this happening now? But life does not pause to answer. It continues moving, inviting participation rather than analysis. Only later, when the movement has carried you forward, does the logic reveal itself. Think of the relationships that shaped you, the opportunities you missed, the difficulties that changed your direction. At the time, many of these felt like mistakes or losses. Yet looking back, you may see how they quietly guided you. One door closed so that another could be noticed. One ending created the space for a beginning you could not have imagined. This does not mean everything is secretly pleasant. Pain is real, confusion is real, but meaning often hides within experiences that were once unbearable. Growth rarely announces itself in advance. It works silently, shaping perspective rather than comfort. Understanding that life makes sense in reverse softens anxiety about the future. You stop demanding that everything makes sense immediately. You allow yourself to be uncertain without feeling lost. Trust replaces urgency. Alan Watts emphasized that trying to figure out life while it is happening is like trying to see the entire picture while standing inside it. You can only see one section at a time. Perspective requires distance, and distance comes with time. This insight invites patience, not passive waiting, but active presence. You engage fully with the moment, knowing its meaning may only be understood later. You stop treating uncertainty as failure and begin to see it as part of the process. When you accept that life makes sense in reverse, regret softens. You see that even mistakes played a role, even confusion had direction. Nothing was wasted. When you look back on your life, is there a moment that once felt wrong but later revealed its purpose? Share your experience in the comments. Your story may help someone trust their present uncertainty. The mind is always asking for reasons. It wants life to explain itself, to justify every turn, every loss, every delay. When answers do not arrive, doubt creeps in. Yet trust does not begin where explanations are complete. It begins where they end. Alan Watts often pointed out that the deepest realities of life cannot be fully explained, only experienced. You do not understand music by analyzing every note, and you do not understand life by demanding constant proof of its meaning. There is an intelligence at work that does not speak in words or logic. It speaks through movement, timing, and transformation. We tend to associate trust with belief, believing that things will work out the way we want. But this is not trust, it is expectation. True trust is quieter. It does not insist on outcomes. It recognizes that life has been unfolding successfully long before our personal stories began. Consider your own body. You do not understand how every cell functions, yet you trust it enough to sleep at night. You do not supervise your heartbeat or negotiate with your lungs. You allow an unseen intelligence to carry you. This same principle applies to life itself. The need for explanation is rooted in fear, the fear that without understanding we are unsafe. But explanation does not actually provide security. Even when reasons are given, uncertainty remains. Trust, on the other hand, does not remove uncertainty, it removes resistance to it. When something difficult happens, the mind immediately asks, why? If no answer appears, frustration grows. But trust asks a different question. Can I stay present with this, even without knowing? This shift changes everything. Life no longer feels like a puzzle to be solved, but a process to be lived. Recognizing intelligence without explanation does not mean denying pain or pretending everything is good. It means sensing that even confusion belongs to the larger order, that nothing is wasted, not struggle, not delay, not doubt. Everything is part of the shaping. Alan Watts described this as faith without belief, a confidence in the process itself, not in any particular story about it. When you live this way, you stop trying to force meaning and allow meaning to emerge naturally. Trust brings a subtle freedom. You still act, choose, and care, but without desperation. You move with life rather than against it. And in that movement, you feel supported, even when answers are absent. Trust life is not to understand it. It is to sense that you are held within something far larger than your explanations. Have you ever experienced a moment where trusting life without answers changed everything for you? Share your reflection in the comments. Your story may help someone who is learning to let go of the need to know.